Me, not so much. As usual, I was running late for service and she was getting annoyed. We arrived at church on time. The place was packed. Women all dressed in white and black. The guest preacher that morning was Reverend Benita Lewis. She began her sermon by talking about the pain women will endure to be beautiful. She talked about pedicures, high-heeled shoes, and women's sore feet. I thought to myself, this is going to be a long service. She moved from pedicures to massages and spa treatments, body wraps to skin treatments. At that point, I was drifting away. It felt as if we'd been in church for hours. But Reverend Lewis was just warming up, and I soon discovered that she wasn't speaking only to the women in the congregation. She was telling all of us about overcoming pain and obstacles in our paths. She was talking about a belief in God, a faith so strong that anything is possible. Then Reverend Lewis uttered 4 words that took my breath away. Step out on nothing. She encouraged the congregation to step out on faith in this journey we call life, to put your life and its challenges in God's hands, to believe in a power greater than yourself. Step out on nothing. In the time it takes to say those 4 words, a lifetime flashed before me. She was speaking about my life. How had I overcome my childhood inability to read when I was nearly a teenager? It was my mother stepping out on nothing, despite the doubts she must have had during those nights around the kitchen table when I just wasn't getting it. And how do you explain an inner-city kid who stuttered until he was 20 years old becoming a network television correspondent? Let's start with a college professor who didn't even know my name. She stepped out on nothing and believed in a young man who didn't believe in himself. Then there's Peter Holthe, a stranger, a college classmate from Minnetonka, Minnesota. Why is your vocabulary so limited, he asked me. He stayed around to find out why and helped me expand it. Those Franciscan friars at Archbishop Curley High School in Baltimore, Maryland, who heard I was in a gospel choir at a church across town. These were white men who had never ventured into a black neighborhood or set foot in a Baptist church. They, too, stepped out on nothing, figuring that being supportive of one of their students after hours might actually make a difference in his life. We all have those defining moments in our lives, moments of great joy, moments of unspeakable sadness and fear. We usually think we're alone, but if we look into the corners of our memories, we'll find them, those people who had faith in us, those times when grace beyond earthly understanding touched us. This is a story of those times, those people, and the lessons they taught me. We've all had such people in our lives. If not, it's time to find them. And for me, this story is my step out on nothing, revealing a childhood shame that I've hidden from all but those who are closest to me, in hopes that my leap of faith will inspire some young child, or even an adult, who is living with a secret. It took me years to discover my shame was actually a source of strength. Mustard seed faith. With it, you can move mountains. Because you have so little faith, I tell you the truth. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20. 1969, Baltimore. At age 9, I was a 4th grader in Catholic school, and the only whore I'd ever heard of was the lady in the Bible. That wasn't until one day when, dressed in my school uniform of blue pants, white shirt, and a gray and blue striped tie, my mom picked me up from school and we set out on one of the defining adventures of my young life. Get in the car. We're going to that Horace house, she said. It couldn't have been more than a 10-minute ride. My mother, who loves to talk, never said a word. We drove up on a busy street lined with row houses, each tipped with Baltimore's famed 3 marble steps. I've never considered my mom an athlete, but that day she pushed at the driver's side door like a sprinter leaping off the starting block and quickly made her way to a house with a narrow door and a small diamond-shaped window. She rang the doorbell several times. A pretty woman with long curly brown hair finally answered the door. I was struck by how much she resembled my mother. "Tell my husband to come out here," my mother yelled. The woman answered, "I don't know what you're talking about," and slammed the door. I could see the rage building in my mother's fist and across her face. She backed off the steps and screamed towards a window on the 2nd floor. "William Pitts, you son of a bitch, bring your ass outside right now." There was dead silence.